All right, we're back. We are COMP308 in the winter 2019 semester at Centennial, and it's week 11, part 1 of our broadcast. We're talking about the group project that we're doing for this semester and information around that. So a couple things to note. I'm just going to bring this down to have a conversation first before we get into the project details. A couple things to note. I noticed that last time people signed up for groups and they signed up, it was a maximum of 4. As I mentioned last week, I was considering expanding it to 6, which I've done. So group projects, the size can go as large as 6. Here's what I don't want you guys to do. I do not want you guys to do your group project alone. That would be very, very bad for you. There's just too much work to do, truly, right? Also, if we look up on eCentennial, so if I look at our, so there's 25 teams I've created that you can sign up, self-sign up, but please make sure that the team members like you, right? Don't just sign up randomly with people. Like, I mean, you know, it's good form to sign up and talk to people and say, hi, I'm your group member, you know, before you do that kind of stuff. I've looked at week 11. So week 11 is where things start. So if you look at your final team project document, it's under week 11 contents. Please look in there for what I'm going to be doing, okay? So in there, if you look inside the document, it talks about what the final team project is about. Okay, so that's where it is. I'm going to actually pull up a Word document for this because it's better. So, okay, what is this team project we speak of? Right. One is, let me know that there's a part that's due tonight at midnight. Okay, this is important, and this part is all around your project concept. So, what are you doing? Is what I'm asking you today. Right, and I need your first draft of your external document and the initial project structure setup, GitHub, cloud provider, which is probably going to be Heroku and blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm looking for tonight. There's no extensions on this. You need to get it done tonight, okay? Why? Because I want to make sure that you're set up for the next week and the next week and the next week by getting it done, by getting it started with your teams, okay? And plus, I'm giving you time in class today. So what is this thing about? It's a final team project that you're going to be doing. There are 3 options that I've set up, and I will accept others. One thing is working in a group up to 6 members or on your own. Highly don't recommend. In fact, I will say no unless you give me a good reason. And utilizing your accumulated knowledge of the mean stack with Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node. Again, you can swap out Angular with React. That's why it says an optional front end. Not that you can use Express or not that you can use pure HTML. Please don't try that. Right? I'm asking you for some kind of front end, a responsive front end like Angular or React or Vue. One of those 3 probably will be good. There might be others that you can use as well. I may not accept Meteor.js, just letting you know. Okay, now there's 3 options. There's the survey site you can build, a brackets tournament site that you can build, or an incident management site you can build that I've created, plus another approved project. So if you've talked to me already, and there's some groups that have already talked to me about something that they want to do that's special, then I may allow it. Now, there are some common requirements that everyone needs to have on anything they do. One of them is, by the way, these are half the marks, right? Your web app must be designed using well-structured semantic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and blah, blah. All the regular things I asked for. You must use some kind of, you know, the mean stack, full stack solution, right? It must be responsive. That means it works on different viewport sizes. And you can use a mobile-first framework such as Bootstrap, Angular Material, or Foundation. One of those 3 to make your life easy. You can also do it manually, but I highly don't recommend that, all right? Like, for example, dealing with media queries. I don't know why you'd want to do that in this day and age. But if you really wanted to, you could. As long as it's responsive and works on all the different viewports, then that's up to you. It's more work, though. CSS rules reside in separate files like they would in Angular, right? That's what I'm looking for. Or at least one big file if you're going to do kind of a global file, but it has to be in a separate file, not embedded. I will not accept embedded CSS. Please don't try that stuff. You're just going to lose marks. So like, for example, CSS and the HTML page linked together, that would be bad. I will not accept that. Same thing with JavaScript in the HTML page, like a script tag with all your JavaScript in there. I don't know why you do that kind of crap or whatever, but if some people do it, and I have to say no, it's just bad form, and it's not good from a scalability perspective. You know, I'm just going to tell you that from the get-go, and it's kind of weird that you would try that with full stack anyway. But just in case you try and do that, I'm just telling you you can't. Images and multimedia assets are in their own folder. Now in Angular, I'm going to talk about that today because for Angular, there's been some questions around how do I make my images come up? Like, I don't understand how to do that with my assignment too. You have to put them in an assets folder, and I'm going to point to it and how to configure that. It should not be an issue at all for you guys to do this. If there is an issue with your assets, then please talk to me, during break, and then we'll go through it. All your code is error-free. I'm looking at all of it: JavaScript, TypeScript, jQuery, whatever. If there's an error in your code, you're going to lose marks. Okay, so no errors. Not even on the console. I don't care if there's nothing functionally error. There should be 0 errors in the console. I don't want to see that. MongoDB database, or you can also use Heroku. Firebase as a backend. That's one of the two. I said MLab. A provider like MLab, MongoDB Atlas is fine. It worked fine for me today. I was testing it out. A few minor consideration details, which I'll go over today for those people who have a problem with it. But that is definitely going to be something you're going to need. This whole piece right here, all right, is 10 marks, site structure. Just actually, if anything, guys, you know what this is? Me not taking marks off for you following instructions. That's literally what this is. If you just like make your Angular app and follow the instructions from class, you'll get full marks for this part. 10 marks, all right? Then internal documentation. This is where people like fall off the rails. I don't know why. They don't put their student ID, in your stuff. I want your student IDs all over the place for you and your collaborators, whoever they are, right? And this is only for stuff you've modified. If you've just scaffolded it, I don't need your student ID. It's someone else's code, right? And don't use your student ID for code that I've given you. Like that is, unless you modified my code, then what you do is you say, author Tom, modified by these guys, whoever modified it, right? So give me credit because you do that if you're going to do it for somebody else. You take my code, say that it was my code that you modified, right? Yeah, your web app name should be there. Like if you're making some kind of survey site or whatever, tell me what the web app is and a brief description of that particular file and what it does. I mean, don't go into too much. It's like if it's a page that you're modifying, like the home page, you can say, the code behind file for the home page. That's it. I don't need anything more than that. Just so I understand that you understand. Ensure you include a section header. What I mean by section headers is like if you have special functions that do certain things that I haven't given you and you're making your own functions and they do something, tell me what they do, right? And I'm talking like brief comments, guys, like this function adds this, right? That's it, right? And if I need to know more, I'll ask you more. I don't want you to over-document your code, but this piece here is worth 5 marks. 5 marks out of 60. That's almost 10% of your final grade. Do not let this go. If you let this go, you're going to be like, oh my God, he took off marks for internal documentation. He's so mean. No, I'm not. I'm telling you it's here, right? It's easy to do this. It's not a big deal. I know developers hate documentation, but I want the bare minimum, which is like headers in your documents to tell me, hey, this is what I'm working on. Okay, this part I need for your document. Imagine if you're proposing this new app to somebody else. You're going to need a few things. An external document, you can color it and make it your own, but I need some kind of company logo. And guys, let's not mince words here. It's just, you could be the company logo that you use for your assignment 1 and 2. If you're using more than one person, mix them. It's a wild production of these 5 companies. I'm good, all right? I don't care if you do that. But the company logo or logos have to be on your document, okay? That basically show who's working on this thing. It's almost like, I always kind of think about this as like, like your signet ring, for your kingdom, all right? You're stamping the wax inside, like on the seal of your documentation, and that's what I look at when you do your company logo. Table of contents, very simple table of contents that tell me what's in the document. A detailed description of your web app should be in the document. So that means like, what does this thing do? What is it for? Give me a little bit of a brief on what you're thinking about using it for, blah, blah, blah. Again, a paragraph or 2 should be sufficient. Please don't write like 3,000 words of what your web app is about. I'm not going to read it. I'll be honest. I just want a really brief summary of what this thing is that you're doing. Okay, a wireframes section. This you can do next week. I'm not expecting you to do wireframes this week. This week is just literally concept, right? Next week I'm going to say, hey, here's the wireframes. I've kind of wireframed out all the sites. And screen capture section is when you actually have screenshots that you can capture, all right? These two things are different things. Some people give me screenshots for wireframes, like they screenshot stuff and then they point stuff to the, no, I want wireframes, which means you can go on the board and draw your image of what it looks like, or you can use a tool. If you have a Mac, you can use Sketch, or any kind of other tool that, I don't know, Paint, whatever on a PC. Like literally, I just want you to draw your squares and say, here's the screen, here's where the main navigation goes. Here, basic stuff about what your app is going to look like, right? And don't go too crazy. I'm not looking for a lot here. I've given you 2 marks for wireframes, but really, literally, it's like, hey, give me a template. What does your main nav look like? You may also want to include additional details that I haven't asked for. For example, what's your color swatch? What are your colors for your site? That might be something you want to add in, almost like a mini style guide, which is what I'm asking for, right? And then some screen captures, right? So screenshots, obviously in wireframes, probably won't be good for this version of your external document. And then finally, some kind of potential future functionality that you choose that you're definitely not going to add in this version of your code, the stuff that you're not going to make, all right? Remember, at the end of this semester, I don't expect a fully polished site that you're going to sell. I expect a prototype, and we're going to go through that, what I mean by that, okay? There's certain functionality that I'm going to say, meh, you don't have to go all the way, all right? Now, if you want to go all the way, the farther you go, the better for you, because then you have a portfolio piece that you can show other people. But if you don't have to do this, there's some stuff. Remember, this is an assignment. It's not something that is going to be your final thing that I'm going to judge you on, okay? It's not that. I want you to just meet requirements. I want you to share your files on GitHub. You can also use, instead of GitHub, some people said, can I use Bitbucket? I'm okay with that. Some people say, can I use Visual Studio Team Services? I guess I'm okay with that. If you want to go there as well, any one of those is fine. As long as I get a link to it and I can see it and it's not private, I'm okay, all right? If it's private and I can't see it, I mean, it's useless to me. So please make me a collaborator, like add me in or something, I don't know. But sometimes they give me a link and I can't access it. And it's like, well, there's nothing there, 0. I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know. Did you? Okay. Cloud hosting is something else. So imagine this. So GitHub and cloud hosting, that's Heroku, chances are, right? Or it could be some other service, Azure, if you really want to be adventurous, right? Or Google Cloud Platform, or Azure Web, Amazon Web Services. I was going to say Azure Web Services. Amazon Web Services, AWS. Any one of those, even something like DigitalOcean or something like that. You make your own VM. That's totally up to you how you want to serve up your files. There's lots and lots of options out there. One thing you cannot use, because I'm asking you to do a backend that's Node.js, is GitHub Pages. You can't use that, right? So you wouldn't be able to use GitHub Pages, but you can use a lot of other services out there. And one of the ones I think is easiest is Heroku for this example, all right? Remember, Heroku, what we're doing with a free dyno in Heroku is like the slowest possible website you would ever have. Like, you're not going to use it for production. Heroku stuff that I'm showing you is for practice, all right? If you want to get something that's robust, you're going to increase the amount of work and pay Heroku to serve your stuff, right? And I'm not asking you to pay for anything, because you guys, at least for me, I'm a poor student. I know that you guys are poor students too, and I don't expect you to pay for anything. If you pay for something, something's wrong, typically, right? I mean, if it's asking you for credit cards and you're paying, I don't know why okay, thank you. I'm happy to do it faster, but there's no need, right? You're not going to sell this to anybody, chances are. And if you are, just use this as a prototype this semester, and then next semester bump it up, ratchet it up to something that's more, industrial. Okay, so if I go down, you can see also that there are, so these are common requirements. Sorry, I have to say this. These are all common requirements. Everybody but everybody, no matter what kind of project you're making, must have these requirements in your project. So common requirements. Okay, now here's the specific requirements. And it's just examples I'm going to show you, okay? So this is not what I'm looking for everybody if you're not doing a survey site. So here's an example of a survey site. And we're going to talk about what that is, because some people don't even know what that is. So a survey site, it's worth 30 marks for this piece, which is user management and site security, the ability for you to create a survey somehow, some kind of anonymous users that can respond to a survey that's active, and some kind of secure reporting area. Those are things I recommend, right? Now, what if you're not doing this? Well, then you and I would sit down and I would create this section with you. And I would say, okay, so I'm going to mark you on what? Like for David, for example, he's making his own site. He's approved this other thing he's doing. He and I are going to have to sit down. And for the most part, he's probably got most of his down. Like, for example, this first part on all the sections, and I guess I could have made this a common requirement, but it's registration, and I just made it more specific to the survey. But more or less, you need some kind of registration, login, and a secure area of your website. Every website must have a secure area that you're accessing. So if you're not thinking about using authentication, yeah, it's not going to happen. And it's usually going to be worth around 8 to 10 marks. Okay? And again, depending on the site, some sites will have a higher rating when it comes to authentication because of the type of site they're making compared to the other one. All right? Then there's going to be some kind of creational pattern. You're going to make something with your site. You're going to add users. You're going to do something, some kind of management or whatever you're going to do. That can be anywhere between 12 points and up. All right, so that's the rest of it. So if there's 8 points allotted for your security out of 30, the other 22 points are going to be for stuff you do. Right? That's what I'm going to give you marks for. In this example from the survey, you create a survey. I'm going to give you 12 points just to be able to create a survey that you can use. You need to be registered and log in. So these are the things that I'm going to give you marks for, right? You should be able to create custom survey questions or customize them. And you should be able to kind of create a lifetime for how long the survey lasts or lives, right? So that's this part, 12 marks. And then there's going to be 5 more marks in this case for, hey, anyone can, after a survey is marked active, any user should be able to respond to it. And then another section for another 5 marks where it says, okay, cool, you can do this, but registered users now should be able to get some statistics based on the survey that they're looking at. Their survey, not someone else's survey. All right, so that's something that it says here. He or she must own the survey for you to get some feedback on it, right? So that's what it looks like. So what is a survey site? One of the most common ones that I like to think about is Google Forms, actually. Right? So if I go to Google Forms has a free online survey that you can make. So let's say I go to Google Forms. And I made one earlier today, but I'm going to make another one. So I'm going to go to blank. And so you can see here, I've got an untitled form. I'm going to say my favorite games, right? My favorite games, right? And let's say that's the survey, the name of the survey, right? And then I can say something like, as an example, add a question. And now here's where it goes above and beyond where I wanted to ask you. The survey, these kind of surveys allow you to create different kinds of questions, multiple choice, checkboxes, drop downs. Yeah, I don't expect that from you. Like that. If you just make one type, for example, you say, okay, all of these are multiple choice. I'm good, right? Trust me, it'll be hard enough to do that, right? And if I say all of them are short answer, I'm good. I don't care how you do it. If you mix and match and you tell me about it, maybe I'll give you a bonus. I don't know. It's a lot more difficult than you think because now you're giving the user a chance to add different components to a survey, which are way harder than just the same kind of template over and over again. Right? And we don't have time for this, guys. We only have 3 weeks, right? So don't kill yourself, please. Pick one template if you're going to do a survey site, and literally what you're going to do is you're going to have one thing that you can do. So let's say multiple choice. Let's say this is the only type you make, and let's say my favorite games, and let's say what are your favorite retro arcade games? Retro arcade games. Right, so you can say stuff like Pac-Man, yay, right, and Miss Pac-Man, really creative. How about things like Tetris? Okay, there we go, and I don't know, Donkey Kong, really old school, right, and so on. You can put a list of old games that have disappeared, right, and then hey, retro arcade games, that's there, right? Miss Pac-Man, man, Miss Pac-Man. Right? All right. Yeah, Miss Pac-Man was huge, man. It was fantastic, right? Or my favorite, Gorf, right? That's just like it's crazy. Oh yeah. There's also Star Trek: The Arcade Game. Okay, I'm just getting carried away now. The arcade game. So anyway, so there's a bunch of them. You can put a bunch of them, and then you would choose this one. And let's say I want to add another question. I can put another question and add in these questions. And then what this does, Google Forms allows you to do is actually create responses, take responses, and then save them to a spreadsheet, which is really cool, right? And you can collaborate with other users and blah, blah. Don't expect a collaboration piece at all. But somehow when you mark this thing as accepting responses, then anyone, as long as you pass them the link, then they can answer that survey, right? So this is one type. The other one is, another example is something called SurveyMonkey. So if you look at SurveyMonkey, here's an example site. Now SurveyMonkey is way more sophisticated in some ways. I'm going to put it out there. Here's SurveyMonkey. I created something earlier called My Favorite Movies, which I haven't released yet, and I probably will never release. You know, as an example, here's my favorite movies, and then maybe you have some survey questions. I want to edit my design for the survey. I only have one question right now. Here's, what is your favorite movie from 2009 and 2010? I don't know. I put Avatar, Sherlock Holmes, and maybe you could put other ones from 2009 and 2010. I don't know, whatever. And then, you know, you can release them. You can ask these surveys. So that's what survey sites are like. They allow you to create surveys. And then there's a part where users can do the survey. There's two parts to it: creation, and then you lock the survey so you can't modify it. And then, okay, it's active now. Users can answer them. So what I want you guys to have is some place on your website where you have active surveys that anyone can answer. Guys, they have to be real surveys. So please don't give me ASDF, BDC error, like random like garbage on your survey to prove that you can enter questions that are garbage, right? I want real questions. By the way, I've gotten those kind of surveys before, right? Like student says, look, I can enter whatever I want in here, right? That's not a survey. I don't know what this means. Like, give me a report. How do you see this? So please, like, spend your time doing that kind of stuff, right? Do I expect you to be as crazy as SurveyMonkey or Google Forms? Hell no is the answer. All I want you to do is follow my instructions on the form. That's why I gave you these guidelines, right? So registered and logged in, they can customize some survey questions. You know, it probably tells you they can use a template, right? Look what it says. 1 or 2 possible survey templates, multiple choice, agree or disagree, short answer. That's it. A template, not random component questions that I can make any survey that I want. No, 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 too much, right? And you're going to say, but I can do it, Tom. Oh, great, do it. First, do what I ask you to do, and then modify your survey site to make it do everything you want to do, right? All right, so that's really the survey example. Questions around this. This is just an example. Although, I'll tell you, it's probably the easiest thing you can possibly do. This is the easiest option, right? Okay, next. A tournament bracket site. So I want to make a tournament bracket site where I have teams of people fighting each other for control of, of the universe. I don't know. Or, I don't know, you have 2 teams that are fighting each other or playing against each other, like badminton teams or hockey teams or whatever, and I want to show them in brackets. I want to control their tournament. I want to run a tournament with a bunch of people. How do I do this? Well, there is a site that's out there that I recommend you look at as an example called Challenge. Yeah, Challenge. It's actually a site that I've used before in these examples. So here's some tournaments. I did this Apex Legends tourney earlier today. Oh, yeah, as an example. And it has some, so it actually creates the brackets for you. This is the kind of way it does it, right? So how does this work? Let's make another one. Let's make another Apex Legends tourney just because, we're doing this kind of thing. So I'm going to go back up to the link here and create a new tournament. All right, and yeah, sure. What's the tournament name? We'll make it so it's Overwatch. Nah, Overwatch is old. Fortnite. Here we go, Fortnite tourney. Right, so a Fortnite tourney, maybe you have a small group of people. I don't know how you do a Fortnite tourney, but what the hell. And then, the game or thing, let's call it Fortnite. Look, they even have a link for Fortnite already. Because they've done these for a single elimination. You can also choose double elimination, round robin, Swiss, whatever. And you can also, 2-stage tournament where you have two different groups that complete separately and then come back together, whatever. Well, all we care about when you're going to create yours is single elimination, like a real simple, stupid single elimination. Provide a list of participants, or I host a sign-up page. I'll provide it, right? Free or paid. These guys allow you to do a paid tournament. Cool. I'm not going to do that. Enable voting for open matches and enable bracket predictions. No, we're not going to do that. None of that stuff is requirement, and none of those advanced options, which I'm not even going to show you. Okay, save and continue. Yay, I've got a thing. I'm going to add participants now. Here's my participants list. let's add some. Oh, David's going to go in there for sure. He's going to fight. Okay, he's going to be a fighter in the octagon, right? I'm going to have Gabriel in there, right? I'm also going to have Ryan. Sure, why not? And I'll have some other guys, right? Me. How about me? I'll be in there too. Ross, some other guys. Mary, Sarah. You know, I don't know. Julie, right? Random names. Okay, I've got 8. Yay! I got 8 names. Cool, guys. I only want 2 types of tourneys: a group of 8 or a group of 16. Don't do anything else, because once you go on anything else, now you're gonna have extras. You're gonna have this guy's got to buy, and forget it. It's too difficult. Make it even numbers, 8 or 16. I'm telling you, don't do anything else. You're gonna choose this option. And I've got my guys. I did an earlier thing where I had 16. I'm not going to take 16. I'm going to start the tournament, and then I can say, okay, so between David and Julie, who won? Notice it just did some random seedings, right? So I'm going to click this little edit button, and I'm going to say, okay, so David won. He did, like, you know, it was 3-1 for David when they fought. Okay, he got 3 points on Julie. He kicked her in her head. I don't know. Submit scores. Here we go. Tom and Ross, who won? Tom, of course. 4-2, right? And yeah, Tom did some crazy, like, you know, triple back kick. I don't know. Gabriel won against Sarah. Gabriel almost broke her head. I don't know. I'm joking. No, Gabriel, he put her in a lock. Okay, there we go. And then Ryan against Mary. Mary won, Ryan. Sorry. Okay, I don't know what it is. Mary won 2-1, Ryan. Sorry. Mary's got to win this one. So now you see that there's some competitors that won, some people that lost, and now you have the new groups. So this is your round 1. Now, if I had a group of 16, you'd have 2 rounds. Round 1, then it'd be round 2, and then you'd be your semifinals and your finals. And then you see that David and Tom are fighting now. David's going to win this one. He's more powerful. 4-2, 14-2. How about that? 14-2. He really knocked Tom's block off. And then there's Gabriel and Mary. Guess what? Gabriel's going to win this one. So he's going to be -1. No. 4-3. There we go. It's close. Okay. And now David and Gabriel's they're gonna fight, and I don't know. Gabriel's gonna win, sure. Okay, 2-1. 2-1. It's close. It was close, right? And then now you can see that that's it. That's the tournament. You can end the tournament, and you see the winners: David, Gabriel, and that's it. And full results. It shows you. That's what I want. That's what this thing is. It's fun. It's neat. But there's graphics involved, but there's stuff happening, you know, so it's a little bit more challenging. You can do it without graphics. You can literally just do it with, like, you know, labels if you want. And instead of having these little things that look like they're pointing, you can use ASCII, I don't care, something weird, or images to do the little brackets that kind of put things together, you know, and you can have presets, like a whole preset thing that you just fill in, right? I mean, there's lots of options, guys. I don't need you guys to be responsive here in terms of how this thing is going to look, this part, right? But that's really what a brackets or tournament thing is. It allows you to have teams or individuals that compete to win something, right? Actually, it's a very useful tool if you want to make this. Depending on how you do it, it can be kind of marketable, right? So now this challenge is not the only people that have made it. There's many groups out there that have done the same thing. But it's okay for a portfolio piece. This is a really good, cool little portfolio piece if you can make it. Make it work. So going back to this. So again, user registration, log in, log out, modify site security that doesn't allow you to do stuff that you're not allowed to do. Create a new tournament, register players, and there's this part. And if you notice, the marks are a little different because it depends on what you're doing. Right here, you're doing more tournament management. So there's more marks around that. How to, you know, who the tournament owner is, the winners, and blah, 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 and whatever, right? Again, this is not another example of what a project that's realistic can get you. Now, the next project is one I'm going to tell you you're probably not going to do, okay? I'm telling you this because I think it's insane, okay? But I put it out there for those insane individuals out there who think they're, like, you know, rocket scientists when it comes to, you know, mean stack. And they want to really challenge themselves. There's like 6 people who are rock solid developers, and they want to have a portfolio piece that's crazy, you know, whatever. Then do the next one, okay? Don't do the next one, all right? I'm just telling you, it's too crazy. This one's the incident management one, okay? So you have a help desk, registration, login, log out, site security, and you have an incident dashboard that basically shows all the different problems that have been reported in order of precedence. A log, if you will. It's usually called a dashboard or a log. And then you can notice that there's lots more details here. You can create an incident record. You can do also incident management. I mean, in terms of like marking an incident new, different stats, states for incidents, a new incident, an in progress incident, a resolved incident, closed incident. I mean, you can go crazy with this stuff. However, guys, there's a real market for this stuff still. There's markets for small little companies who want to keep track of orders. You can use it for order management, incident management, whatever. Especially when it comes to things like, okay, I got a problem, can you fix it? And you don't want to pay like $10,000 for a robust, industrial, strength incident management tool, let's say from Remedy, because Remedy is like the incident management masters, okay? They actually, provide software for telecom, right? If you want to go to Bell Canada and report an incident, Remedy BMC provides a service management software. It's like a massive corporation that does like enterprise level products. They have all kinds of crazy stuff. I think it's called BMC Helix now. They keep on changing the names, but it's crazy. You have dashboards. You have apps, like all kinds of stuff. And there's not even things I can really show you here, but really at the end of the day, they also tie into ITSM, which is the IT service management. So if you're an ITIL, kind of specialist, if you will, the IT infrastructure library, if you have an ITIL certification, it complies to that and all this kind of stuff. Guys, don't go crazy. Really, all you need is some kind of ticket management system. And there are probably some examples here of, so this is operations and this is automation orchestration, but there's probably something like service management. Let's see if they actually have some. Yeah, here it is. Here's a good example of a dashboard that has different things that tell you how many tickets are coming through, your, the active tickets that you have in your ticket log, and then incident management, how to take an incident and so on. If you actually click here, you can see that there's different screens for all this kind of stuff. Smart reporting, which gives you kind of, it tracks major incidents and repeating incidents and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, totally not interested in all these details for you. I mean, I literally only want you to do like a trouble report that can get resolved with a couple clicks, okay? It's literally, you would create a prototype instead of an actual fully robust system that works across mobile devices as well, right? Although, every one of these things that I've been telling you about should be responsive to some degree, like should work on most devices, okay? So that's what this one is. And this one is still 6 people. You're not going to get a bonus for doing this one. It's just for people who are really ambitious, who want to push themselves over the next 3 weeks to create like a crazy application, all right? I don't know anyone like that, but if you know somebody, tell them don't do it, okay? But I put it here as an option. And what if none of these things fit? You're like, none of these things is what I want to do, Tom. Then come talk to me. And it has to be something where, look at the patterns. Some kind of site security. Some kind of creational pattern, right? Like create a record. Some kind of displaying information, reporting. Some kind of management of that information, all right? That's what I'm looking for. If you have those pieces in place, then you should be fine, all right? And if there's something you're missing, then we'll talk about it, and that's probably going to be a requirement that I'm asking you to do. All right, that's going to be part of your stuff. So again, some kind of reporting, the secure area, some creational stuff where you create information or manage information some way. Those are the things I'm looking for. Questions around the project. So details around the project itself, like what project are you making? So tonight, what you're going to do is you're going to concept stuff up. You and your team are going to get together. You're going to sign up for a group. And then these are the different releases I'm looking for. At the top of this document, it tells you the dates and times of when all these releases are due. I'm just going to go scroll up to the top. So if you notice, tonight, it's first release. It's your project concept. It's worth 5% of your final grade. Notice that if you missed this one, you can still do these ones. So if you're terrible and you just don't come up with a project concept, and somehow we talk and you don't submit this, I'm not going to let you submit it next week. It's due tonight, right? So you need to get it done tonight. It's literally just choose the kind of project that you're doing and think about who you're working with. I want to know who's working with you in your document, your logo and stuff like that, and it's due tonight by midnight, okay? Next week, when we get together, that's why I need you guys in every single week from now on. I'm going to check. I want to see where you're at. And there's another release that's due. Landing page complete. Site security functional, right? Completely functional next week, right? With your landing page is set up and styled, and I can't get into a secure area that's just a blank right now, all right? I'm literally looking for like a stub page next week that I can't get to unless I log in, okay? That's all I need, right? If I can get that by next week, you're good. You get another 5%. And then the third release, your main functionality is all there. You can do everything that I've asked you to do, whatever it is, right? So why do I need a fourth release? Tweaking, right? I want to make sure that there's some polish involved, right? Your external document is going to be updated every single phase. Next week, I'm going to ask you to update your document. The week after that. And finally, you're going to have a final version of your external document by the end, which is all the screenshots are there, the people, the media stuff. I'm going to ask you to do other things in there. There's going to be more details as we go. Between the third and the fourth release, which means between week 13 and week 14, right? I'm going to do a test. I'm going to run a test, an evaluation, where you guys are going to look at other people's sites and give them some feedback, all right? There's going to be that thing. And what I'm looking for as a bonus, this is all going to be bonus material, because this, by the way, all adds up to about 100% if you look at eCentennial, right? It'll be a 5% bonus assignment. So people who've missed stuff, exercises, they did really bad on their assignment 1, or they didn't hand it in, right? Or something crazy like that, it'll shore up that stuff. I'll give you an extra 5% bonus if you do that. Or if you did terrible on your midterm, you felt you did, or you didn't hand it in, I don't know why you wouldn't. Some people didn't. You know, then it'll help you with that kind of stuff. That's what it's going to do. And it's going to be a group effort. You're going to get together. You're going to do a test. Your group is going to audit another group's site, and you're going to go through it, answer a survey that they're going to create, a usability survey. And then my hope is that from the usability stuff that you get back, your results, you're going to be able to modify, tweak a little bit the interface based on things you get back, the feedback, to make it better for the final release. So then the final release is going to be due on week 14. Yes, that's when everything is due. At midnight, all the paperwork and the actual documentation, links to GitHub and links to your Heroku site, blah, blah. But that's not the end. The end is when you actually present. And if you look at your online stuff, right, so let's go back to being online. At the end, in week 14, you have a few things to take care of. There's this final presentation piece. Okay, if I look at the final presentation piece, there is a final presentation requirement document that's in here, right? What this does is it details a couple things. I need 7 slides from you guys, okay? Literally. And by the way, for your final presentation, I'm also looking for some kind of screencast. Screencast is literally like running through your presentation and recording your screen, okay? Why? Because how many times I can tell you at the end of semester that people are getting sick, they disappear, I don't know where they are, and they don't show up for the final, final presentation. And there's different reasons for this. You have to show up for your final presentation because your final presentation is with 15% of your final grade and takes the place of your exam, right? There's no exam in this course, but there is a final presentation. But here's the thing. When you show up for your final presentation, you don't have to present, you personally. There might be somebody in your team that you have as a representative, the presenter of your group, maybe the producer, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. Let's say, for example, Ryan. Ryan, come up. Come on up, Ryan. Ryan is coming down the pipe. Here we go. Let's say Ryan is the best presenter ever, right? So here we go. So Ryan is going to present our stuff. He's going to point. Key points, right? There we go. See? Thank you. So you go sit down, Ryan. Thank you very much. So Ryan is so talented. Or Gabriel, come up. Come on, I gotta get Gabriel come up. Yeah. And David, you're next, right? David, come up. David, come up. Gabriel, put your hands in your pockets, Gabriel. All right. And David, you hands in your pockets. David, you put your hands in your pockets. Okay, I don't want these guys like this. Okay. Hey, go ahead. If you put your hands in your pockets, guys, and come to my presentation, I want you to sit down. All right. Now I know it's crazy, but why would you come up and put your hands in your pockets, right? I want you to come up and talk. If you're not going to come up and talk, I don't want you up, okay? I want 2 people that are up here. One person is going to be really great at presenting up here, is comfortable with talking, and another person is going to be the deck monkey, right? I don't know what you want to call it. That's the slide jockey. I don't know what you want to call him. Well, we can call other names, right? But that's like literally a button pusher, all right? That's going to push your slides forward, okay? If you're really creative, you can even have one of those button pushing things, right? You can actually push your buttons on your own, right? That's totally cool. So you can do it all on your own, one person. But you have to be very comfortable. If you're not comfortable, if you're not good talking, if you're not good with the English language, or you just don't like presenting, don't do it. Get someone. Make sure you get a person in your team that can do it, all right? Because this presentation, there's 2 marks for this one, right? Materials and presentation quality. If your presentation quality sucks for your team, your whole team is going to suffer. I'm not joking. This is serious. Why? Why is it serious? And why am I making you do this thing anyway? Why is this business stuff here in the first place? Because in real life, you're going to make lots of presentations in your life, lots and lots of them, right? To big people, executives. You might make it to a customer, even to a friend, right? You want to present something to somebody and say, look, guys, I got an idea, right? So you have to be comfortable with it. I'm not going to make everyone do it because this is your final presentation. For most of you, it's like the last semester of class ever, right? And I don't want to make it stressful. So just pick someone who's really comfortable with it. You're presenting it to me. I'm not going to be like super, okay, I'm going to be critical, but not super critical that I'm going to knock you down and say, you suck. I'm not going to say that. Okay, maybe if it was Ryan, but that's only because I'm just saying, but maybe if it's like, for no reason. And I'm joking, I'd be facetious, guys, but honestly, it's a safe learning environment. Come up, do your thing, learn, say your stuff. But I want people who are happy to present, who are enthusiastic about their product is the best product ever, right? Yeah, if it's not the best product ever, don't come up here because then you're gonna put your hands in your pockets and you're gonna, I don't want this, I don't want you looking down and go, yeah, my product, about, if you're not good at presenting, just don't do it, all right? Seriously, not for this time. So you're going to do this. You're going to do the screencast stuff. And the screencast stuff is there for you to practice and also for me to review again. Like, okay, which one? I saw like 20 presentations. What did they do again? Oh, yeah, these guys. Seriously. I mean, I'm going to still try and mark you as we go. But there's just, there's sometimes there's 20 or whatever. And I want to make sure I get through all the marking at the end. Yes? No, you're going to record it another time before you see me, right? That's on your own, like in your house somewhere, right? Or, I don't know, in one of the classrooms. And then you're going to present. You're going to hand in a link to your screencast. You're going to hand in a link to your presentation document, right? Those 2 things. See? Required, link to screencast, link to presentation document. And then that's worth 15% of your final grade, right? So, yes. Yeah. I want it as a backup. Thank you. Right? Trust me, I've gone through this too many times. And you know what? It's like, what did they do? Oh, yeah, it was that boring presentation with the guy with the hands in pockets, right? Oh, yeah, that was right. Sorry. All right. And then, oh, yeah, but no, but he spoke really well in the presentation, right? When he was doing his presentation, it was awesome. Deep voice, like, it's really good. I don't want to, we'll joke around later. I can't say bad things on you. Anyways, so, yeah, so this is the thing that I want you guys to do. Then there's one more piece. I know there's a lot of pieces. But this piece is not so bad. It is a peer review that I want you guys to do because, let's face it, what's the biggest part of this that's a problem? Group stuff. People hate group stuff. They just, every week, every semester, I think I get people saying, I really hate group work. So you have to fill out this little document. And what it is it's a peer review form. Guys, I'm going to use it. Like, that means that, like, if you're really terrible and you never show up to meetings, and you're part of the team and they can't find you, you're MIA, you're going to be on the team, but you're going to get 0, right? This is what's going to happen, right? So if you think that at the end of this thing, you can ride on people's coattails and just like do your final presentation and not do any work whatsoever, yeah, there's probably going to be a little, unless all of your team members want to support you and like let you do nothing, then this would be bad. So what's going to happen is you're going to go through this and it's worth 1% of your final grade just to submit it on yourself to say, yeah, I did something. Right? You're going to put down what percentage you contributed and what everyone else did, right? And then at the bottom, you're going to say, what did you do? What were my contributions? And then comments of other group members, why the percentages are not equally distributed. I want to know why, right? And when you have these things in place, right, then good. If everyone's equal, then, there should be equal. Sometimes it's not equal. Sometimes you gave 20%, right? And because you were the main producer or you were a developer and other people did less, I'm okay with it being slightly different. It doesn't have to be exactly equal. But if I get 0 somewhere, like on this document, and like I look at the other people's and they're saying like, he did 0, he did 0, she did 0, he did 0, and I see a bunch of those, I'm going to be like, okay, Well, that guy did 0. And I might call you back. I might call you in like the middle of, the end of semester and go, hey, I'm not going to use Ryan. Hey, Tom, what did you do? How come all your team members said that you did terribly here? You didn't do your work, And then Tom says, yeah, I know. I was really busy with other work, and I just I used the group work as like a magic carpet ride. I kind of slid through the whole thing and didn't do anything. I'm so sorry. I just couldn't do it, Tom, Professor. I couldn't do it. Then you know what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to say, so you get 0 on the project, right? I mean, be honest, right? Like if everyone reports that you did bad, and by the way, I guarantee what's going to happen, right? If someone's not doing their work and I come around, because every week I'm going to ask you, so how's your project going? And if you say like, Tom didn't do any work, that guy Tom, who we got on our team, he's like, no, I'm going to hear it. It's not like I'm never going to hear it until the end. The end is just going to, it's going to just like, be the nail in the coffin kind of thing, right? So please, guys, this is important. I want you to fill it out. It's not an option. It's required for you to fill out a peer review. It's good for your retrospective anyway. And if everyone did well, then you're going to put really good comments here. Like, you know what? David did a great job. I really like what he did. Ryan was fantastic as a designer, right? Gabriel, he was amazing as a developer, as an example, right? That's the kind of work, that's the kind of comments I want to see down here. I don't want to see things like, yeah, this person never did anything. He was very argumentative and difficult to work with and that kind of stuff. That stuff is the things that I normally hear, unfortunately, but I'd like to hear more positive stuff. So group work, it sucks, but it's a fact of life. IRL, it happens all the time, right? So if you think that, in real life that you're not going to have group work and you're going to be like a one-man show or one-woman show, I don't know. I've never seen that. Not in enterprise, not in any company that I've ever been in, right? At least not for long. How about that? Okay, so please keep this in mind. This is the whole project. I know I've kind of been long-winded. I apologize for the long-winded. Sometimes I leave a message like that, eh? I apologize for the long-winded, but here, right? Because I've talked my head off on the message, right? That's why I don't leave messages anymore, because I kind of check myself. Okay? I can't. If I'm calling David, I'm just going to call David, and he saw me come up on my phone, on his phone. He knows I called, right? Because if I leave a message, it's going to be like, so David, la 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 la, I really like your hat, blah blah blah, right? That's what it's going to be like, and it's a complete waste of time, right? So, but going back to this, the actual work. So project part 4, part 5, and part 6, these are all due week 14, if you notice, right? Part 4 is the final release material. So that's like your project documents, your links to everything. Part 5, you're going to physically do the presentation. In order for you to get marks for this at all, everyone must be present, unless somehow otherwise decided. Like you've arranged with me, there's some kind of special circumstance, whatever. I don't know, you're riding to the moon or something like that with Tesla and his SpaceX. I don't know, something weird, right? Then let me know, and if I have to accommodate you for some reason, then it'll happen way before this. I'll know way before. Don't let me know like the day before. I'm not coming. All right, that's not going to suffice. All right, and then these 3 things are due. But for the most part, I've kind of outlined every week. So next week, if you notice, there's like that part that's due. It's going to be there. I've already put it up for you. If you've made, if you've kind of finished parts early, hand it in, right? Worst case scenario, you can hand it in again. I don't mind how many times you hand it in. It's unlimited, kind of submissions, right? So if you hand something in, it's better that you hand it in so you're not late and then it's done than not hand it in or forget to do it and all that kind of stuff, okay? What did I do here that's really weird? New portfolio assignment 2. Why is that on week 12? Wait a minute. Wait. There's 3, but 2. Wait a minute. Did I mess this up? 1, 2, and wait. Today. Wait. I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to leave it here. So that's when it's due. So mean portfolio is due next week, week 12. People who need an extra week, I'm leaving it there. Okay. I'm going to add the other one for the other part too. Yeah. Let me talk to you after. We go through it. All right. So yeah. So notice I missed it. I missed one part. So I said next week is week 12 when it's due, and it was supposed to be due week 11. That's when this week it was supposed to be due, week 11. And I also put it in week 10. So week 10, there's a part that I put in there, but I moved it to week 12. This wasn't an accident. This was actually on purpose because people have asked for an extension. I feel worried to give you an extension, guys, but only because you know, I have a problem with this. Like if I go through here and say, okay, it's due week 12 now, great, you know, kind of thing. I don't mind that, but my problem is that I worry that there's so many other things going on that it's going to mess you up. And also, assignment 2 is really prep for what you're doing with project, right? So if you finish early, hand it in, right? If you need more time till next week, take more time till next week. Hey, I haven't done all your marking either, right? So I'm late, you're late, we're all late, yay, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? I'm just being honest, right? You know, I'm busy too, but so for me to like really hammer you guys when I'm late, you know, it makes me feel bad. So so don't worry about it. Get her done. I know some people have handed it in. Thank you for that. I know some people when they hand it in on time, they're like, damn, I handed it in, right? You can still hand it in again if you want to make, you know, additions. You want to make it better. You rush to get it in, and you know you've spent all this time working on it this week or last night until 4 in the morning. I'm sorry, but try and do it. People have asked me today for extensions, not yesterday. So, you know, and there's a lot of them. Like you can see 9 out of 79, not a great submission, you know, kind of stuff. I know there's still some hours left, but I want you guys to be comfortable with this. You need to get comfortable with the mean stack. There's too many components to make a mess of it, right? So if you need extra time, take the extra time. If you can get it done by Sunday or Monday, I highly recommend you do it earlier than next week, Saturday. There's just going to be too many other things to do, and you're going to have the other stuff to do too, right? So the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be, is what I'm saying. Okay, so please don't wait. Let's go back to the content. So one thing that was missing from week 12 is the other submission. So next week, if you look at assignments, then there is projects part 2, which is the landing page and stuff. And David was just asking, hey, what does this mean about site security? What I mean by site security is that you need to be able to log in, log out, and it should protect secure areas of your website. That's what it means, right? So that means if you have an area where there's an admin area that only the admin can add users or remove people, those areas should be locked. You shouldn't be able to go there unless you're in the admin, right? By the way, notice that I didn't say roles. There was never a role in the website. You may add roles because that's what you want to do. Maybe also regular users for other things like profiles of people that can log in and do other things. But the more important thing is that you know, that they have to be registered. So even if they're all admins for your site because it's a prototype, I'm okay with that, right? Don't worry about roles. Making roles is another check. There's more logic involved in doing that check and everything else. And that's it. Notice also that I didn't ask, hey, make a separate server, right, with single sign-on. Pretend we're talking about single sign-on today, where you have like one authentication server that can, you know, serve everybody in the class, and everyone can use one server with JWT token passing, you know, from one place to no, okay. Microservices are cool. They're out of scope. If you really want to do it and make it work, all the power to you. I will give you a bonus for microservices. I'm also going to give you a bonus for machine learning. For example, predictive stuff. If you did a tournament site and you wanted to add machine learning to predict who's going to win based on previous stats, if you had multiple, you know, tournaments, I'm okay with that, right? But that's bonus stuff. You have to tell me about it beforehand if you're going to do that kind of thing on your own, right? Or if you're going to make some kind of search, predictive search, that's going to kind of, when you start typing stuff in, it kind of tries to figure out what you want, your intents. That's pretty cool too. But I'm not going to make you do it, right? Not because I don't want you guys to learn machine learning, but only because there's just so much to do. It truly is. We'll talk about machine learning in the class starting next week and everything else, but I'm not going to go crazy and make you learn all this stuff, like, and apply it to your project. It's just unrealistic, okay, in my opinion. All right, questions around project. Final project. Again, it's a group project. I recommend 6 people. I think it's better for you to have all these people on board. 4 people would be a good number at minimum. Once you go below 4, it becomes a lot of work. all right? And that means that there's a lot of work for everybody. There's documentation to do, internal and external. There's presenting to do. There's a presentation document to produce. There's videos to record. There's all kinds of stuff here, guys, that you can dole out to different people, right? And not everyone needs to be a developer, right? I don't need that. I need you guys to work as a team to produce something. Oh, yes, Ryan. Sorry? That's up to you. I'm not going to force you guys to be all developers. If one person's a great UX person and they do the front end, they design everything and make it look nice. Let's say, for example, I don't know, Gabriel's great at drawing and he wants to draw every single button and make sure, I know he says no, but I'm saying if that's what he wants, right, that's great, right? Or if David wants to be the main developer because he's really good, he wants to learn the mean stack, he wants to really dig into it and understand how to do stuff, great. Or if he wants to split his job with his buddy Ryan, who's going to do the back end security stuff, and he wants to do the front end and the whole other part of the mean stack, I'm okay with that too, right? So you know what? I'm not going to govern how you work. As long as I get a good product at the end, I'm fine. That's your own politics, how you make it work at the end. And now there's going to be some comments. They're going to say, well, that means that, well, only one person needs to develop, and the rest of the people, this is a emerging technologies course, Tom. It's not a business course. But at the end of the day, it is a business. Everything, there's business out of anything you do. There's code in everything you do, right? So the project is there for you to produce something for your portfolio. If you contributed fairly to the project, I think it's fair that we give you marks. That's why I look at it. However, if you didn't contribute at all, then you're not going to get great marks. And one thing that I want you all to understand, and this is something that is a bit of a challenge for everybody when you work in a group, is you should understand if I come and ask you, if I do an oral exam with you and ask you, like, tell me how this worked, you should know. That means you need to be engaged, right? You need to look at the stuff and go, okay, I know how this worked. David was working on it. He was the prime on this one, but here's how it works, right? If you don't know how it works, that's a bad thing, okay? And if none of you know how it works, like none of your entire team know how it works, that's possible, by the way. It's happened to me before. Maybe you paid somebody else to do it. I don't know. That's bad. You all get 0, right? I'm telling you right now. I can do it at any time. If I ask you guys how it works, and if you say, for example, if David says, I'm sorry, David, to use your name, and you're immortalized on YouTube, but if I go to David and I say, David, how did you make this? And David says, I don't know, right? I mean, I don't know. David, weren't you the developer? He goes, yeah. Well, how'd you make it? I don't know, right? That's like kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird. So I'm going to ask you these things. I'm going to kind of test you here and there throughout the next few weeks. So again, next week, prepare for this. When you come in, I'm going to go around team for team. I'm going to say, what's your team name? You're going to say this. I'm going to go online to your groups. And then I'm going to go, cool, what did you do this week? And you're going to say, I did this. And I said this. And I go, did you have your landing page and site security set up? And if you say, no, I don't. And then I'm like, when do you plan to get it done? Is it going to be done in for tonight? And if you say, I don't know, right? There's a bad answers. The question, the answer should be, yeah, we worked on site security and we got it all done. I want to show you. Can I get some feedback from you, Tom? Yes, I'll give you some feedback. And by the way, we already started the next part, right? Or you know what? We have to do these both parts together because part 2 and part 3 we've kind of put everything together at once. We've got all of part 2 done and most of part 3 done because we couldn't really not do part of part 3 because, I mean, it's functionality. We had to test the functionality with the security, which is probably what's going to happen if you do things properly. The other part is please don't ask me for more extensions on assignment 2. So next week it's like if you can't do it by next week, you can't do it. It's like forget about it, right? And there cannot be extensions on your project parts because one part comes from the next part, and there's only 4 weeks left, including this week. 11, 12, 13, and 14. We're done, right? Yeah.
There was some confusion about whether or not there's classes
on the 20th. There is. I don't know. That's Sunday. That's like Easter, right? Yeah. So no Sundays on no class on Sunday. But on the 20th, it's Easter Saturday. There's no special holiday. So yeah, we're good, right? And if we were on a Friday, we'd be off. We wouldn't be able to do things on Friday too. So then I would have to back this up and reduce the number of things and increase the amount of value for these things and say like, part 2 and part 3 is due on this day, kind of thing. Any other questions around project? I know I spent a lot of time. That was very winded. I need to spend the time because I want you to know how much weight these things have. 30% for your project, 15% for your presentation. That's 45% of your final grade, right? There's little parts, piece parts. So it's not one big project piece. There's a few little assignments, but it all equates to about 45%, right? And if you don't show up for them, or if you're not present, or if you don't participate, or if you don't contribute, that's bad, right? Now, here's a great thing. You can contribute to each individual part and become a developer for each individual part if you guys so choose. For example, you might say, well, I'm going to do the concept and the site structure for this one. I'll set up the GitHub repository tonight, and Heroku, I'll set up all that stuff for you guys. I'll give you full access and collaborate with you. Great. That's kind of developer work, right? And then the next person might say, okay, so now I'm going to take care of site security. I'm going to take it on now. I'll be the developer this week. And I'm talking about just like 4 people in a group, right? And then he does the development, and he does the site security, and make sure that things aren't good. And he has a stub where he can't get to because it's a secure area of the site or whatever. When I say stub, I mean like a website that's kind of empty, doesn't do anything. You just want to try and get there, and it says you can't get here, because you're not logged in, or it redirects you back to the login page. And then, the last developer, he kind of puts things together, kind of makes all the main functionality work. And then at the end, you kind of come together and work together to make it look nice, get some testing done, and blah, blah. That would be optimal, right? But I know it's not going to go that way. What's going to happen is, sorry, David, I'm going to use it. David is the main developer, and you got maybe one other guy, Ryan, who's going to help him out. And then the other 2 people are going to do documentation and some kind of presentation stuff. That's what's going to happen, right? Or even better, David's going to do it all, right? For the full team, right? And he's going to mark on peer review that everyone did a great job. And then guess what? David's not going to do the work for another project, for another class, because David's doing this project, right? That's what we do. We do load balancing, right? David's going to work on this project for everybody else, and the other guy's going to work on that project for everybody else in that class, and then Ryan's going to do the project for that class, and all 3 of you guys are going to be responsible, so you're going to affect each other, so you have a great projects, right? And then if I talk to Ryan about the projects, he'll say, I don't know, right? Talk to David. He was the prime on this one, right? Yeah, I'm making a joke of it, but we do what we have to do as students, right? At the end of the day, don't tell me your politics. If things aren't going well, I don't want to know, right? I mean, I know I'm not trying to turn a blind eye. I really care about, if you understand this technology. I really do. But in real life, no one really wants to know what happened in your team. They want to know that your product got made and it got made well, right? So I know maybe it's not the right thing to say, and probably people on YouTube, I'm like, don't say that, Tom. Why are you saying those kind of things? I'm trying to be realistic, right? I know that you guys have other things going on. You're not regular people right now. You're not even regular human beings. You're students, right? So as students, what happens is we just don't have a regular life. We don't have a human life, right? We just work like dogs until we're done, right? You're almost done, guys. The lights at the end of the tunnel you can see it. It's only 4 weeks away, including this week, right? And then you're done. And after that, you graduate. Then you have to think about me anymore, right? Or this place, right? But hopefully you'll have fun memories, is what I'm saying. And this project, guys, I want to point out a couple things. Let's look at Indeed for a second, right? And I'm just looking at Indeed in Toronto. People who are watching remotely, like in India someplace, they're going to say, what the heck is this? This is like your, finding site for finding jobs. If I say junior developer, right? So let's just talk about junior developer here. I spelled developer wrong, but hey, it came up anyway. Senior software developer, front end, junior business analyst, front end developer. Hey, there's one for eBay. Front end developer for eBay. Let's take a look. This was just posted. And it talks about what you need, right? Clean, well-tested, and efficient code. Have 5+ years in web experience, HTML, CSS, and related web technologies. You have good UX sensibilities. You know how to work in a Linux environment. Your UI is this stuff. You know a little bit React, Redux, and Node. So you don't know Redux and React because we haven't talked about it, but you can learn that. You know about Git and GitHub. Look at this, man. I mean, part of this is what you already know, and this is a pretty good job with eBay, right? So that's one. Junior full stack developer. Let's take a look at that with Fortran Technologies. I know I'm advertising people. I shouldn't. They're going to get mad at me. The YouTube is going to say you can't show this, Tom, right? But it's okay because I want to show it. I'm not showing it because I want you to go to work for these guys. I don't even know who these guys are, but I want to show you example jobs. Here's one: web-based front-end application, understanding HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, jQuery, and Node.js. All stuff you should know by now. A back-end that's NoSQL including Postgres, which is kind of really cool. I like PostgreSDB as an option to MongoDB, right? And C++ backend, that's interesting. I haven't seen that for a while. They want a master's or PhD in computer science. You know, it would be nice. It'd be nice to have, right? But what I'm saying is, depending on what you look at, you can see that the requirements that they're looking at aren't totally out of whack. It's some of the stuff that you're doing already with REST APIs, talking about REST APIs, some kind of HTML, CSS, JavaScript stack. They don't even talk about what it is. They can say whatever stack, Angular, you know, on the front end. So there's jobs out here, guys. There's jobs. These are all posted like days ago, 3 days ago, you know, 2 days ago, 5 days ago. So it's not like an old thing. There's lots of jobs out there, and it's all around the stuff that you guys know how to do. So yeah, you're making an app, and it's great for a portfolio. Some people are going to look at your GitHub portfolio to explain. They're going to put you through a little test or whatever. So you can be as much or as little involved as you want, but it behooves you to be as much involved as possible. It behooves you to sit down with your other developer and do pair programming. There's nothing wrong with that. Where one person is typing, the other person is looking over your shoulder going, oh, you missed a comma there. You missed a colon. You know, you missed a semicolon there. Oh, you should have done this. Hey, you know what? I found a better way of doing it. It's like this. And bounce stuff off each other, because there's some really good stuff around that. It also reduces code errors, right? Where, you know, you have two sets of eyes looking at a piece of code. It's a little slower. It's a little slower than normal, right? But sometimes it can be faster. For example, if one person remembers stuff where you don't have to Google it, you know, oh, it's like this. Let me code that part. You know, pair programming is very powerful, and you know, all joking aside, it's an opportunity for you guys to work together efficiently, right? Okay, one more thing I want to say is GitHub is always a pain. GitHub is always a pain, and I showed you guys some ways of managing your project on GitHub, and Trello, and Jira. You need to pick something to manage your project. Okay, I don't care how you manage your project, but I want to know how you're doing it. So one of the questions I'm going to ask next week is, hey, show me your Trello project, you know, or your GitHub project pages or something. Pick a project, you know, kind of like a platform. Sorry? Something to keep track. I mean, even if it's Excel, for God's sake, I don't care how you do it, right? Or some kind of scheduling program. You know, as long as I know who's doing what. Like if I ask you, okay, so Ryan, what are you doing this week? You're like, well, I got these things. I'm working on these tasks right now. You should know, right? And if you're like, I don't know, right? I don't know is always a bad answer. Okay, I don't know. I don't know, right? Well, I don't know yet. I'll let you know by the end of class, and then you disappear before the end of class, right? That happens to me too, eh? I'll let you know, Professor, by the end of class. Okay, no problem. So yeah, so some kind of management tool is good. We talked about some, you know, last week and the week before, kind of. Use something. Use Trello. Use Jira. Use Teamwork. That's another one I didn't talk about before. It's actually a really good one as well. Teamwork, which is project management software, which is really good. They've got some free versions of it that you can use. A lot of people use Teamwork because they like it as well. Whatever tool you want. There's also Basecamp. Basecamp? Basecamp. Yeah, Basecamp, right? Which is also project management software, which is really cool. Depending on the institution you come with, I mean, you kind of are involved with, they have a lot of these tools are free to use, 30-day trials. There's not 30 days left. So you can probably use some of these tools until the end of semester, and you're good to go. It'll be a good chance for you to use them, put them on your resume, learn how to use them and all that stuff, and it's something that'll keep track and help you run your project a little better, right? If you're going to be a project manager, one thing I didn't ask you guys to do is assign project roles, if you noticed. I didn't say, okay, there's got to be one person who's a project manager, the other person's a developer. There's no time for that, right? It should happen naturally. You know, for example, David, he wants to run this site that he wants to make for his hockey teams, right, David? So he's probably the producer, the project manager, and the developer all in one. That's why he's kind of involved in everything, right? But there's going to be different aspects. People are going to be involved doing different things. So maybe someone else is going to own the GitHub repository. I don't know, right, or whatever. But everyone has a chance to take part. And it doesn't have to be just business stuff, presentation, documentation, and testing. It doesn't have to be that stuff. It could be all development stuff if you want to make it so. Okay. Okay, now I've really talked too much, and I got to stop because I can keep going with this stuff, and then we won't get things done. Okay, for the next hour, so we're sitting at 3 o'clock now, right? For the next hour, I want you to work with your teams, right, to put together your group online. So up again, I'm looking at the groups on your discussions. So if I go to communication, if I go to groups, right, there's a bunch of groups here. I can see there's a lot of zeros, right? That's okay. I want numbers that are 4s and 5s and 6s, not 2s. All right, 2s bad. 2s, that's, you know, you're really stressing yourself. And so definitely not 1s. 1s are really bad. See, this 1 out of 6, whoever group 5 is. I'm not going to look there because I don't want to put it on YouTube. But whoever this lonely person is, you know, no. Collect some more people, please. Unless there's a catastrophe, you're not going to do it on your own. All right. So yeah, and imagine also, I'm only going to have this many groups, right? So, you know, imagine there's 25 presentations I got to do it over a period of 2 days, of 2 sessions. Yeah. I'm just saying, it'd be nice if you didn't, right? If you're going to do an individual, please talk to me, okay? Because then you're going to fill out your peer review form, and you're going to yeah, it was me. I gave myself 100%. It was me. I did that, like me, and it was good, right? And so yeah, that's no good. So I mean, please talk to me if there's going to be if you're going to be by yourself, and if you're going to be you and one other person, you guys going to both be superstars to do this properly. I mean, there's no time. I don't know how you're going to do it, right? I've never seen success with just 2 people doing a project in emerging technologies, the final project of the semester. I've never seen success with people like that. The project comes out bad, right? And they come up and they ask me for extensions, which is impossible. I'm telling you, there are no extensions. I cannot. I only have 4 weeks left, and there's 4 things to produce. How are you going to do extensions? When? My time, by the way, guys, 20th of April, that's the last time we see each other. You know, we're going to hug each other. We're going to say good things, you know, whatever. But that's it, right? We're not going to see each other anymore. I'm not going to communicate with you after that. Like, there's either you hand it in or you don't, right? I mean, that's it, right? So I can't go on beyond that point. I mean, I'd like to stay with you for the rest of the summer, and you can extend yourself all the time. It's just not going to happen. I got other things going on, right? So, and so do you, right? So do you. You got other stuff too, right? Okay, that's it. Any other questions? Okay, no more jokes. I promise. Probably all bad jokes. The dad jokes, right? I'll see you guys. So take an hour, go through your teams. Every single time we get together from now on, it's all going to be, there's going to be some part of group work and then some part of concepts learning that we're going to do until the end, okay? And the final week of class, that's week 14, both sections are going to be working on presentations. I'm going to put together a presentation kind of thing on Google Drive. You'll sign up and you'll present in that order, right? So I don't care which section you're in. When you put your name on the area, I'm going to put times next to it too. Like, here's for this time frame a list. For this time frame, here's a list, and you put your name on it, and you present at that order. If you do not appear on your presentation time, you miss your presentation. If I don't see anything, like nothing handed in, and there's no good reason for you not coming, I don't know how you're going to get any marks for that. That's 15% of your final grade. Okay, so please talk to me if you have any other questions, but that's it for me for today in terms of this. What we'll do is when we come back, we'll talk about single sign-on for microservices and how that works, okay?